Hello everyone, you're watching Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through top news across Canada. Silk products returning to grocery stores following deadly listeria outbreak. Man arrested after allegedly hurling racial slurs, assaulting victim in the beaches. Motorcyclist arrested in alleged hit and run involving Toronto police officer. WestJet says flight cancellation post hailstorm to continue for foreseeable future. Southbound collector lanes of Highway 400 in Vaughan closed due to collision. Disgraceful. Ontario's opposition demands Doug Ford apologize for animal hospital joke about overflow patients. 20-somethings in Toronto are more depressed and financially troubled than older generations, new study finds. These were the headlines. Now let's jump right into the details. Silk plant-based beverages are returning to grocery stores following a deadly listeria outbreak linked to a number of recalled products. Danone Canada told Awaz News that while the third-party production facility in Pickering, Ontario, where the recalled products were made remains closed during an ongoing Canadian Food Inspection Agency (CFIA) investigation, production has resumed elsewhere. The news comes from the Public Health Agency of Canada (PHAC) announced Monday that a third person had died in connection with the Silk and Great Value brand plant-based recall. It's unclear if the affected Great Value brand products have returned to shelves. Ontario's Ministry of Health confirmed to Awaz News on Wednesday that the third person who died was from the province. The other two deaths linked to the outbreak were also from Ontario, Awaz News previously reported. The products including almond, oat, cashew, and coconut-based milk substitutes recalled on July 8. Since then, PHAC has confirmed 20 cases of listeriosis, including 13 in Ontario, 5 in Quebec, and 1 each in Nova Scotia and Alberta. 15 of those individuals were hospitalized as a result of their infection. The people who became sick, the CFIA said, developed symptoms between August 2023 and early July 2024, and most of them were adults above the age of 50. At least 17 of the infections started in June and July, CFIA data shows. Officials said more illnesses linked to the outbreak may continue to be reported because the illness reporting period is between 9 and 29 days. A man has been arrested in connection with an alleged racist attack in the beaches last week. Toronto police said they received a call for a hate crime in the area of Queen Street East and McLean Avenue on the evening of August 8. Investigators learned there was a verbal altercation between the two people inside a restaurant. During the argument, the suspect allegedly hurled racial slurs towards the victim before assaulting them with an unidentified object. Police said the suspect later fled the area. On Sunday, police released a photo of the suspect in an effort to identify and locate him. They noted that the incident was being investigated as a suspected hate-motivated offense. In a news release on Wednesday, investigators announced that the suspect, who they identified as 65-year-old John Everly, had been taken into custody. Police added they also executed an additional outstanding warrant for an unrelated matter. Everly has been charged with assault with a weapon and assault. He was scheduled to appear to a Toronto bail court on Wednesday morning. Police continue to ask anyone with the information to contact them at 416-808-3500 or Crime Stoppers anonymously. A 34-year-old motorcyclist is facing charges after allegedly striking a Toronto police officer near the Budweiser stage earlier this month and fleeing the scene. In a release issued Wednesday, police said an officer was directing traffic near the concert venue on the evening of August 7th. Just after 7:15 p.m., police said they received a report that the motorcyclist, heading eastbound on Lakeshore Boulevard West, disobeyed the officer directing traffic. Police add the motorcyclist collided with the officer and fled the scene, leaving the officer with minor injuries as a result of the collision. The following day, police released images of the suspect and his motorcycle in an effort to locate him. On August 9th, investigators conducted a search warrant and seized items of evidentiary value. Days later, on Wednesday, police arrested Khalid Patrick, Idris of Toronto. Idris is facing charges for dangerous operation of a conveyance, caused bodily harm, and failed to stop at the scene of accident causing bodily harm, and is also facing additional charges under the Highway Traffic Act and Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. He is expected to appear in court on September 25th. WestJet says it will be issuing flight cancellations for the foreseeable future after planes were damaged by a Calgary hailstorm last week, upending travel plans for thousands of passengers. The country's second biggest carrier says 16 aircraft, or 10% of its fleet, remain off the commission 9 days after the tempest rained down golf ball-sized ice pellets onto parts of southern Alberta, including the province's largest airport. After assessing the damage, the airline says sourcing specialized equipment and materials to complete repairs and inspections will take several weeks. WestJet says it has cancelled more than 600 flights since August 5th, with 50 trips per day, on average now being called off, and more than 20,000 customers affected. The Calgary-based company says fewer flights will be scrapped as planes return to service later this month, but that it shares passengers' frustration over the impact of the storm. The airline says it is facing very high volumes of calls and emails as it works to help passengers rebook or opt for refunds. Experts say airfares will likely rise in the short term due to the diminished flight capacity following the hailstorm, which also damaged the Calgary airport's domestic terminal and 4 planes at Flair Airlines and Cargojet. The southbound collector lanes of Highway 400 in Vaughan are expected to be closed during the afternoon rush hour due to a collision. Ontario Provincial Police say a dump truck was involved in a single vehicle crash on highway near Highway 7. The collision resulted in a diesel spill, forcing the closure of the collector lanes, OPP say. The highway was initially expected to reopen at 6 p.m., but OPP say the closure is expected to last until 7 p.m. as a barrier also needs to be repaired. Meanwhile, the driver of the truck was transported to the hospital with minor injuries. The cause of the crash is unknown. Premier Doug Ford's joke about sending patients waiting for an MRI or CT scan to a newly opened animal hospital is garnering criticism from opposition MPPs at Queen's Park. Ford made the comment Tuesday at the grand opening of the King Animal Hospital in King City, Ontario, a private veterinary facility. By the looks of it, we know where we can send the overflow patients now for the MRIs and CT scans and everything else, so keep an extra room for some other patients, Ford said. The flippant joke did not land with Ford's opposition, however. The fact that Doug Ford was able to make that joke yesterday revealed a lot. It showed the dire state of the Ontario's healthcare system is a laughing matter to him. Dr. Adil Shamji, MPP for Don Valley East and Ontario Liberal critic for health, said in news release. Ford's office did not respond to Awaz News' inquiry about the Premier's quip earlier this week. Instead, his camp underlined the investments it has made in Ontario's healthcare system since 2018. We are adding over 49 MRI machines and 50 new CT scanners in hospitals across the province, increasing capacity to perform nearly 500,000 hours of MRI and CT scans, the statement reads. In June, the average waiting time for the MRIs in Ontario was 90 days and 81 days for CT scans. The province said the expansion will cut that wait time down to 28 days. Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie did not find humor in Ford's joke either and called it disgraceful. After 6 years of deliberately underfunding our healthcare system in order to justify his agenda to sell it off in private, Ford is now joking that if you are waiting for an MRI, you should just visit a veterinary clinic, Crombie wrote on Twitter. As of January 2023, Ontarians could consult with pharmacists for ailments like cold sores, pink eye, and urinary tract infections. Now the Ford government is considering expanding the number of health concerns pharmacists can treat, a move that drew criticism due to the apparent privatization of healthcare services. The Ford government is considering expanding the scope of services to include administering publicly funded vaccines like tetanus and shingles, as well as treating and prescribing head lice, strep throat, and minor sleep disorders like insomnia. Although there are 2.5 million Ontarians without access to a family doctor, the Ontario Medical Association has previously called the move a quick fix to a problem that cannot be easily resolved.
So I met Rob and Danielle. It was a couple of years ago. We came by here and took a look around. And at the time, my great Solicitor General, Sylvia Jones, which is now the Deputy Premier and the great Minister of Health. And by the looks of it, we know where we can send the overflow patients now for MRIs and CAT scans and everything else. So keep an extra room for some other patients for King. And I'm also joined by our great
Toronto residents in their 20s are more depressed, anxious, and financially troubled than those in older generations and can benefit from more in-person and meaningful engagements at work, a new report has found. The study published on Wednesday by the Toronto Foundation charity highlighted that people in their 20s are suffering from loneliness, food insecurity, and mental health issues at unprecedented rates. Researchers found that 45% of Toronto residents between ages 18 and 29 said their mental health is fair or poor. 39% reported symptoms consistent with major depressive disorders, and 31% reported anxiety symptoms. 40% of Torontonians in that age bracket said they are concerned about paying their rent or mortgage each month, and 44% reported feeling lonely at least 3 days a week. Most of the results for the younger group are a great deal worse than those in the study ages 30 and up. Rates of depression, anxiety, and fear about housing costs were twice as bad as for the younger cohort. The disparities are quite stark, Hughes said. 40% of the 20-somethings are saying that they are lonely most of the week. That's compared to only 31% of those 30 and up. He added that concerns around being able to pay rent and being able to access food banks have skyrocketed over the years. 20-somethings comprise a large share of the city's population, with about 430,000 people aged 20-29 in the city of Toronto, the study stated. Most of these residents do not own their own homes. 72% of households led by those aged 25 to 34 are renters. The study noted that the COVID-19 pandemic posed a lot of challenges for people aged 18 to 30 in Toronto, and even as the pandemic faded, the enduring nature of the mental health crisis became clear. The report noted that much of the mental health challenges for the age group are fueled by affordability issues. Screen time use also surged during COVID-19 pandemic, the study noted, with more than 1 in 4 young Canadians aged 16 to 34 spending 6 or more hours of their personal time on screens per day. Researchers in the study suggested that one solution to the current crisis is to get young people back into the office and employed. The study noted that young workers and many respondents said they are eager to return to the office. Half of the 18 to 29-year-olds surveyed said they want to work in person 4 days a week or more. I think one of the things that we are really trying to do is call on employees in particular to offer opportunities for younger people to have meaningful engagements and connections at work, Hughes said. 20-somethings report far more a desire to come into the office than their old counterparts, to have meaningful engagements, opportunities for team building in person, face-to-face. That's such a critical piece.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.